Right. So let's start off then our temporary physical substitute virtual class. We are doing because we were unable to do the physical class today for no real logical reason, but we couldn't do because the other parallel subject teachers had decided not to do the class. Okay, right. So on that note, let's start off. We completed our discussion on basically income approach, right? All the theoretical conceptual parts were done. The last thing we did was, if I am to share this on the screen with you guys, the last thing we did last week when we had the class. Oops, right. Last thing we did when we had the class was basically we looked at the practical applications of the income approach. We talked about personal income, disposable personal income, and I also added one more thing for this practical approach side, that is disposable gross national income. So there are three concepts that basically I have identified as the practical approach of the income, practical applications of the income approach. Right. So basically, right. So here, three things. One is the concept of personal or household income, right? Secondly, the concept of disposable personal income, and as an additional thing, I want you guys to also think about disposable gross national income. Okay, so these three concepts are identified by us as the practical applications of the income approach. You need to know how to estimate them, especially when it comes to personal income. I explained to you guys last week in the physical classes the logic for what we add and the logic for what we deduct. Also in this area, in your study material, I've given a really good explanation on a clarification on these concepts called disposable income and personal income, and then what is the logic behind why we add certain things to national income when we calculate household income, and what is the logic behind certain things we deduct. Are we clear? So that whole area we have discussed. Okay. So with that, we have come to the end of our discussion on income approach, and we also went through the concept flow here. Right? In page number 43, we went through a step-by-step concept flow. Especially we identified if we are estimating gross domestic income at basic price, how do we consider the tax part of it? And if we are estimating it at market price, which is equal to GDP, then we take all the relevant taxes in terms of net tax on production and imports, or net tax on production. So that part, I'm basically referring to the very important understanding you need to have about part D, right? And how, if you want to estimate GDP, right, which is equal to GDI at market price, then you guys need to be very clear that it has to be at market price. So you have to take all the taxes, right? So These 2 points you need to be very clear. Okay. In page number 43, where we have discussed the concept flow. I'm just touching on a few key things before we do the question. Right. And then page 44, it's just some additional information to clarify a few things. Now, I have given a side-by-side in the previous approach of national accounting, system of national accounting 1993, how we go through the income approach calculation, right? These were the income categories we looked at, right? Employment income, rent income, net interest, and corporate profits, and self-employment income. But in the new national accounting approach, we have broken it down into basically 3 main areas when we do the calculations: compensation of employees, and then we look at gross operating surplus. Operating surplus and mixed income is taken under that category. And then we have other taxes on production less subsidies, so that we will get the answer at basic price. And then by adjusting for tax on products less subsidies, we get the answer at market price. So number 6 is basically GDP at market price, or we can say GDI at market price. Okay, the answer we get here is either GVA, or we can call this GDI at basic price. GDI at basic price. Okay, then the rest is very common, or the general conversions, that is from the output approach, income approach, expenditure approach. Any of the 3 approaches, from domestic to national, is you add net primary income from rest of the world. Then disposable gross national income is you add net current transfers from rest of the world, or net foreign current transfers, right? So there you don't see much differences, but in the main income sources is where you see the difference between the previous system and the new system. I've explained a few things. Again, this part is important, right? This is where we say gross operating surplus is a combination of 3 things: net operating surplus, mixed income, and yes, consumption of fixed capital. These 3 things. So the logic is, this is for net operating surplus is for incorporated businesses, and mixed income is basically unincorporated businesses, right? So the operating surplus of incorporated businesses is taken as net operating surplus. The operating surplus of unincorporated businesses, household enterprises mainly, unincorporated businesses, is taken as mixed income, MI, right? And we take the entire thing as gross operating surpluses. Because it's gross, we need to make sure, right, the CFC component is required, because we are looking for a gross value, right? So we take the operating surpluses of, so OS, operating surplus of unincorporated, operating surplus of unincorporated, right? Yeah, that's about it. So we'll look at the theory practice question, right? We'll use this. I think it will be clear enough. Yeah. So let's move on. We did this. Right, here we go. Question number 8. Can you guys, make sure you have the answers you have written, or the work you have done, so that we can quickly check this. Can you tell me how many of you guys have done this? Okay, I'm getting so many hands being raised and messages. I can't count at once. Okay. I've got one student who has said they have done. 2 students have attempted. Anyone else who has attempted this question? But I have been having the practice question tude right along with you with the theory recap tude. Sorry, the theory study material here. This last week in the class, I said there are 2 questions that we should attempt, and you guys should give it a try. I mentioned it last week in the class, right? I know you guys had a lot of a busy week getting ready for the National Independence Day celebrations. So if you could have found some time, it will be really good. Right. So let's see. So there are 2 more. So altogether about 4, 5 students have attempted. I'll take that, right? Even though I would really want all of you to have attempted this. Okay. That's what, Nobata, we can do now when we study. One thing is, I have suggested in the revision class, especially, I am pushing you all to do this much as possible. Prepare some short notes and things like that. In the theory class, basically, you can prepare short notes, obviously. Now, I'll give you some, I think I gave some guidance. If not, I'll give you some guidance on that. Since we are finishing this book, right? I'll give you some guidance on how to have the short notes for Unit 5, the first book, right? I've helped you with a 10-point listing of key things for the output approach. I hope you guys remember we did that about a couple of weeks back. I said I will test you on that. So make sure you keep going through that list of 10 items. Are you guys familiar with what I'm talking about? Yes. In the last few pages of this tude, you have written things. If your last 2 pages are in the same way it was given to you, then you might have been absent on that day. So then do you have a note to be copied down? The summary was given for output approach, 10 points. Yes or no? You're not getting any responses. Why is that? Yes or no? Right. Yeah. So please make sure that is used for output approach. That is the summary. Then for the first part, introduction to macroeconomics and the introduction to national accounting, you need to have a small short note for those 2 parts. And now for the income approach, you need to have a small short note. Another aspect or element of studying at home is one aspect is the short notes, right? And active retrieval. Keep looking at it, looking at them in your mind without looking at the short notes, trying to keep on recalling these things, retrieving this knowledge. That's the best way to remember, right? Of course, but the entire memory journey begins, right? The key to long-lasting and sustainable memory is, as you guys know by now, I have shared this with you enough and more. First thing is you have to pay attention, right? To pay attention, you have to regularly try to come for classes. When you are in the class, you have to be able to switch off your phone, even now, right? Now don't switch off the phone if the phone is what you are using to watch or be a part of the session, obviously, right? But anything that is distracting you, it could be a human thing, non-human thing, right? It could be one of your friends who is continuously talking and sharing their life with you. That could take your attention away. So you need to handle that. You need to sort that out. Or it could be that you're not using your phone, but your person sitting next to you is using the phone in the classroom, and that is disturbing you. So then you have to do something about it, right? Don't just let it go. Or you are mingling with the phone, then you need to switch off the phone or put it on airplane mode, or and then switch off the sort of notifications, whatever it is, and out of sight, out of mind approach and concentrate. Attention is number 1. Once you pay attention, things actually start making sense. I'll repeat that. Once you pay attention, things actually start making sense. Once you pay attention, the magical thing that happens is things start making sense. When something makes sense, that's called comprehension. That's called comprehension. The second requirement is comprehension. First requirement is attention. Attention is required for comprehension. Comprehension is required for long-term memory. Once you have comprehended the different concepts, then I'm adding one thing there. That's where you prepare short notes. And final step is active retrieval. When you do active retrieval, two ways to do it. One is mentally you can keep recalling, right, the different lists and the key points. The second part of active retrieval is answer questions. Answer questions, because to answer the question, you have to retrieve your knowledge, recall your knowledge. Okay, right. Fairly simple, straightforward. Do this. The more you do it, the better you become with anything that you do. And the more you remember the things that you learn. Right. Let's do this question. The following national income data are pertaining to a hypothetical economy for the period 2020-2021, 2020 and 2021. All values are in rupees millions. You are given compensation of employees. So you are given the CE or COE value. Gross operating surplus is given, GOS. You are given consumption of fixed capital, CFC, and you are given mixed income, MI. Other taxes charged on production is given. Other subsidies provided on production is given. Okay, both tax and subsidy for other. So you might be able to get a net value there, net OTH, other value there. Then taxes on products is given, net taxes on imports is given, subsidies on products is given. So here you might be able to come up with the value of net tax on products. Net tax on products. You might be able to take import separately, or you can take it together, because import taxes are also tax on products, right? We have learned these things. Then net primary income from rest of the world. So you are given NPI, and net foreign currency transfers, NFCT, is given, right? So the information is now understood, identified. Okay. Estimate net operating surplus. Okay. I'll give you the method. You need to do the calculation. Shall we go with the formula approach? I think that's okay for this question, right? Because we have identified all the key items. I think we can use the formula approach, right? So net operating surplus. If you want to find net operating surplus, one thing is you can take gross operating surplus and minus CFC. But if you look at the values a bit, now its gross operating surplus is 1,000. Gross operating surplus is 1,720. So inside this, remember our way of learning. If we assume this comprises of three things, what are three things that this comprises of? Can you give me the three things this comprises of? GOS, gross operating surplus. I'll write it here also. What does it comprise of? Today, I wrote it in this material. If I scroll up, it's there. What are three components of gross operating surplus? No, based on the number of students in the session, the students who have, given me the privilege of, teaching, right, by gracing our presence, gracing our virtual session with your presence, right? Now, Maybe because I'm asking questions, we lost one person, right? Or a connection issue, we'll say. That's always better to think that way. Right. No, more answers I need. What are the three components of gross operating surplus? I've got a 50% response rate. It's increasing now. Okay, good. 70%. My target is 80. Right. Now I have 80%. Let's see. Gross operating surplus. Okay. In the calculation approach, what does gross operating surplus entail? Operating surpluses are considered as property income. That's true, right? That part I get, right? But in this context of this question, what do you think gross operating surplus will comprise of? Because we are not given that information. We don't have rent, interest income, gross profit. That information we can't find here. So that application might not be useful for us at this moment. No? Right. There are three things, as I said. So some of you have given one of them. I want to see all three in your answer. Some of you guys have given all three. That's good. Some of you guys have given it in stages, right? Okay. So 1720 includes 1720 includes. Okay, right. Now, but you have been smart enough to be a part of the live session, right? You're bothered enough to not miss a class and show your commitment to your exam in your exam year. In your exam year. So make the full use of it, be fully alert, concentrate, right? If you can't do that, then do something about it. Okay, and make sure you're concentrating. Don't just be logged in and be somewhere else in your mind. Okay, so why am I saying this? Respond when questions are asked. Right. What I am asking here today, we did, right? Today we have done, if I can, I don't think this is a waste of time because I want you to understand how you are concentrating, right? Physical or virtual, either way. Concentration is concentration here, right? Here we go. This is today. Gross operating surplus equals NOS plus MI plus CFC. That is what I asked. It's all about attention. Attention gives you comprehension. Comprehension gives you memory. Pay attention. Okay? Right. So this should include net operating surplus, which is what we are trying to find. But the thing is, this will also include mixed income, and this will include CFC. Got it? These values we have. Mixed income is 160. I started by saying if you look at the values, it might make sense. 1720. So 160 can very well be inside this 1720. Okay? And then consumption of fixed capital 180. Even if you add these two things, right? Still, the answer is not going to add up to 1720. Now, someone could have done this way. Someone could have said, okay, net operating surplus. Simple. NOS equals GOS minus CFC. Because the difference between gross and net is depreciation. Net, gross. Depreciation minus depreciation. Then gross becomes net. But conceptually, theoretically, we know, especially in the central bank disaggregation method, GOS includes not only NOS and CFC, GOS includes MI as well. So the proper calculation to estimate net operating surplus, I said I will not be doing the calculation with you, right? You need to do it quickly and give me the answers, okay? Net operating surplus is gross operating surplus minus, right? Minus, now if you really want to be clear, you can first write GOS equals NOS plus MI plus CFC, and then therefore you can write this, right? GOS minus, no, not minus, yes, minus. Two things at minus. One is MI and the other is CFC. Can you apply the values and give me the answer? This is 1720. I don't know why I'm applying the values. MI was 160 and this is 180. Therefore, NOS would be so Kavini is saying it's 1380. Any other answers or do we agree? Okay, so Shan is concurring the answer, confirming the answer. Anyone else who can confirm? Should be the same answer. We can't have multiple answers, no? Quickly. Attention, yes, okay. Attention, comprehension, memory. Rupees 1380. I think the values are given in millions. Write the final answer that way, but then only it's correct, okay? 1380 million. Right. Number 2. Gross value added of output. Gross value added of output is the same as it's given within brackets. So there is no chance of a confusion here. GVA. How do we estimate How do we estimate GVA? GVA. What goes without saying when you ask to estimate GVA? You need to answer quickly. What goes without saying when you ask to estimate GVA? GVA? What goes without saying? Meman, you're asking me GDP question mark. I'm confused. If you're asked to estimate GVA, GVA values are no. Yeah, GDP fine. That I agree. If I ask you, okay, GDP is always what goes without saying when you say GDP. GDP always is at, as Meman is saying correctly, market price. That's fine. Similarly, right? These are things with a quickly answer. Similarly, GVA goes without saying at. There we go. One of you have got it done. Shan, you are correct. GVA goes without saying. Hamda, you are correct. GVA goes without saying. What? We have learned these things. We were very clear. We took enough time and put this to your head. Safia, you are correct. Yes. GVA goes without saying. Mevan, no. GDP is at market price. GVA, we don't say market price. Devja, correct. There we go. Quicker the better. Sooner the better. GVA is always at basic price. I'll say BP, basic price. Okay? Goes without saying. The examiner doesn't need to say. If you ask to estimate GVA, you should know it's at basic price. If the professor wants GVA for some reason, listen, attention, listen, put this to your head. Okay? In a question, for some reason, if the question requires, if the professor wants you to estimate GVA at market price, the professor has to say market price. Nothing said GVA values, gross value added, is always at basic price. Always at what price? Basic price. Now we know this. From now onwards, you need to know. Okay, right. So going back to the calculation, we can basically say GVA is, this is income approach. Always, Puta, when you are trying to figure out the answer, look at the information given, look at the approach we can use, right? All your knowledge about that concept is not applicable in all situations. Okay. So we don't have gross value of output. We don't have intermediate consumption. So yes, GVA can be estimated that way, but we don't have that information. What do we have? We work with what we have. We have CE, compensation of employees, plus we have what? GOS, okay, plus, that's where you have to be careful, because you're asked to estimate basic price. So what should I add in terms of taxes? Because MI is inside this, right? Don't write this. This is just for your understanding. The 4 sources of primary income: compensation of employees, operating surplus, mixed income, net tax on production. Okay, 4 sources of primary income. Out of that, 1 compensation of employees is taken. GOS has 2 things: operating surpluses and MI, mixed income, is also here included. Then only thing is now taxes. But how do we take taxes? Do we take the full component, net tax on production, or are we more careful than that? Remember, we want our answer to be at basic price. What do we take? Let's see. Let's see if I get answers. What do we take? Come on. How do we take the tax component? Last week we talked about this in the class. GVA at basic price. While you guys are thinking, I will write something else here. AKA GDI at basic price. Same thing. Yes, let's see, I'm getting an answer. Mevan, very correct. Shan, very correct. Well done. What kind of tax component should I take here if I want my answer to be at basic price? Hamda, not clear enough, too broad. There are different types of net taxes. Need to be more specific. Anyone else? Basic price. Okay. Some of you have given the answer very correctly. Good for you, Puta. Right? Now, let me just show this. Okay. I'm not trying to, discourage you guys. That is not the objective. But the job of the teacher is also not to ignore everything and just, keep going. That also doesn't work. So, if I go to the study material, right? And if I take you to page number 43, page number 43, okay, where we have the income approach concept flow. before we started the question, I made it a special point to talk about point C and point D. If you look at point D, it says, if you guys can read it with me, right? I'm sure at home you're having the study material in front of you. If any of you guys have sat down for this virtual class, not in front of a table, or if any of you have sat down for this virtual class without having the THO with you, pens, pencils, stationery with you, if I was you, I would be disappointed at myself. And if your parents are sitting behind you or someone is behind you at home, yes, an adult who cares about your education, there's a bit of a lapse or problem, lapse or a weakness on their side also. They should have told you, you can't do an online class unless you have the THO and unless you're set up on a table and you have your pens, pencils, stationery to do the work. Yes, if you're sleeping on the bed, as I speak, get up, go to a table, do this properly, or I don't see the point of you being a part of this live session. Better to leave, and maybe if I make the recorded version available, watch it before next Saturday. Right. So with that, let's start. I'm not being rude to them. Some of you might think I'm annoyed that I couldn't do the physical class and I'm taking that out on you. That is not what I'm saying. What I'm saying, if you think about it, it makes sense. Okay. Just for the sake of, your name appearing in the list of participants, don't do this. Right? Pointless. Okay. Here we go. D, it says, if GVA value is to be estimated at basic price, then aggregate value of primary income, aggregate value of primary income, sigma PI, should be consist of compensation of employees, operating surplus, MI. So these two things is what we have always taken as and plus we have taken CFC, right? And we have said gross operating surplus, right? So we are adding CFC as well, right? Okay, so consider CFC also, then it will become gross operating surplus. OS, that is NOS, MI and CFC. And only, this is the part that I wanted to highlight, only net other taxes on production. That is other taxes on production minus other subsidies on production. Why? Because we want the answer to be at basic price. We want the answer to be at basic price. Okay, so we have talked about this. Now I'm testing that application. Okay, right. So now we know, but something has to go in now. There's a small problem there. So need to sharpen that part of knowledge. Okay, right. Here we go. Plus net. Okay. Other tax on production. So apply the values or tell me the values at least. CE is how much? Compensation of employee, CE or COE is how much? What color is your practice question material? Here we go. Right. Compensation of 2,740. So 2,740 plus this was 1,720. Don't take any other value. Don't take the net value. Plus, let's do the calculation. Other taxes charged on production 140 minus other subsidies 40. So that's a net of 100. Okay, how much do we get when we add all this up? 2,700. No. Okay. You were answering my earlier question. So what is the value of GVA at basic price? Sorry, did I miss it? Sean is suggesting 4,560. Anyone to concur? Confirm? Yeah, Hamda is confirming. 4,560. Meman is confirming. Right. So yeah, that's our answer. 4,560. Remember, rupees 4,560 million. Right. Okay, next, this should be easy now. We are asked to estimate the GDP. My God, what goes without saying when we say GDP? I haven't said, but you know, I have no chance of fooling you. I want all of you to be on board and clear with this. GDP is always at. There we go. Everyone, GDP is always at. Okay. Now don't make me go through the list and call out your name. GDP should be at. If you are not bothered to respond, if you are too busy to respond, then you are not paying attention. All of you know this. GDP should always be at. Let's see. Okay. Right. Should always be at. Yes. Rasindu, we are okay. Netmal, we are okay. Yeah. Okay. I'm yet to hear from two of our friends. GDP should always be at. Okay, now I'm afraid. Netmal, are we in the class?
Sir, can you read my text?
Yes?
Sir?
Yes, okay. GDP should always be at?
It should be a market price.
Market price. There we go. That was not that hard.
No, sir, I typed in much long ago.
Right, okay. So I missed it. Okay. Rasindu. Did I say your name correctly, Buddha? Yes? Right, okay. So your answer would be GDP should be at what? Right. I think I'm hearing you very vaguely. Right. Okay. Yeah, okay. So I think we are very clear on this now, right? I just wanted to confirm that. That's all. Because if this was a physical class, I can see your faces. I can see whether you get the point or not. Right? So in this virtual setting, I have to put extra effort to get this out, right? Because I can't read your facial reactions or the body language, right? Or simply ask from you. GDP and market price. So we take GVA, okay, obviously at basic price is what we have, okay, and what do? Buddha? We add How do we go from basic price to market price? Forget income approach. We learn this from the output approach itself. How do we 8 out of 10 times, 9 out of 10 times, if you don't have things like trade margin, if you don't have things like transportation and all those things, we basically go from basic price directly to market price or purchaser price. So how do we do that? What is the simple adjustment we do? Need more responses. When you say take Putta, you mean what? Add or deduct? Add. Okay, then fine. Yes, correct. Hamda, correct. Yes. Now, just a small clarification. I will ask from you guys who have answered in a bit. Okay, I want to just let others also contribute to this. Shan, correct. Okay, good. How do we go from basic price to market price? When we prepare that list of 10 points summarizing, which I'm sure you guys have at least 4 or 5 times gone through that list by now, over the last 2 weeks or so, to almost 3 weeks now. You might have gone through that list several times in your active retrieval process when you study at home. So there also we have done this. How do we go from basic price to market price? What do we add? So there you go. I helped you a bit. What do we add when we go from basic price to market price? Kavini, correct. Yes. But I use these moments, use these opportunities. Take it in that sense. If you cannot answer a question I am asking, if you are not clear on what the answer is, and if I am saying it's something you guys should know, because we have covered it, I have explained it, we have understood it, then take something from that. I would take 2 things if I was you. Number 1, I need to pay more attention in the class. Number 2, I need to do more studying or work at home. What I learn in the class, I need to take time and study at home. What I learn in the class, I need to take time and study at home. I'll repeat one more time. What I learn in the class, the information that I pay attention and capture in the class, that I comprehend in the class, only if I study at home. Class, learn. Class, learn. Only if I study at home, I can put it to my head, and only if I do that studying part by either preparing short notes and then both preparing short notes, answering questions, only if I do it that productive way, I will remember what I learned. This is the message I will take if I can't answer a question that I'm asking, if I was you. Okay? I don't know. These are things that as rational individuals, we should know better. We should figure out. Okay? Nothing just automatically happens. No, you put that effort, you bring that focus and get it done. Right? So if something is not working out, change it, improve it, think about it, and figure out a proper way to do it. Right? Devaja, correct. Yes. Devaja, sorry. Part of what should be done is given. Another part is missing. Right. Kavini, correct. Yeah. Okay. Now, any of you guys who have said, now you're correct, Devaja. Any of you guys who have said add net tax on products is correct if you have already included import taxes or net tax on imports inside the value of net tax on products. Is that clear? If not, we have to take net tax on products plus net tax on imports. We can't ignore net tax on imports. In this question, it's given separately. So we have to consider that. Is that clear, Buddha, what I just said? Okay, so help me out accordingly. GVA plus, I'm going to say net tax on products. I can say plus net tax on imports, or I can say net tax on products and imports. Either way, it's okay. Okay, plus net tax on, I'm going to say capital M for imports. Okay, small abbreviation I'm using there. Right. So GVA at basic price is 4,560 plus net tax on products. We might need to do the calculation and show. Tax on products is 1,680 minus subsidy on products is 500 minus 500 plus net tax on imports is given directly 640. So solve this and tell me what is the answer. I'll be ready because you guys will very quickly give me the answer. Right, now, but the power just went off. The Wi-Fi would be there for a few more seconds or a few more minutes at least, right? Okay, so if they don't turn on the backup power, I might not be able to restart the class. Is that clear? It's not enough time for me to go to another location and do this. So if the power comes back, if they give the backup power, I will continue the class. If not, this is where we might have to conclude. Okay, is that clear? Did you guys get the message? Please confirm. Yeah, the Wi-Fi also might get turned off. I know, I'm extremely sorry. I assumed at least today of all days, I would have a continuous power supply. And unfortunately, they haven't updated the proper power cut schedule also. Yes. So if you know anyone working for the CEB, please thank them for the tremendous service and support they are giving us. Okay. Right. Right, but so can I have the answer until the UPS gives up and the Wi-Fi goes off? $6,380. Okay, 6,380. 6,380 million. Okay, I'll quickly just share the method for the next few things. These are straightforward now, right? Here, gross national income is basically then we have the GDP value, which is already at market price, add NPI at NPI ROW. Okay, NPI ROW. Then you should be okay there. This you take GNI that you get here from fourth requirement, and you add net foreign current transfers. Finally, NDP, net domestic product, you take gross domestic product and minus CFC. Gross domestic product and minus CFC. I don't think they're giving, okay, are we okay with that? I'm sorry for rushing, right? I'm in a bit of a time crunch now, okay, before the UPS dies, right? Right. So please complete the question. I don't think they are giving us the backup power, the generator, okay? So until the Wi-Fi goes off, I will continue. Yes, it's making all the dangerous sounds, the small UPS device I have. Right. Okay. Done? Right. Then there is one more question connected to, no, hold on. Yeah, that question is not connected to income approach. It's connected to the expenditure approach. Sorry, my mistake, right? So yeah, I think we are okay with income approach. We have gone through all the necessary key points. Next time we do the physical classes, I am hoping to start expenditure approach. So actually today, if we had the physical class, you guys were supposed to get your second book, right? For unit 5, where we have expenditure approach and the benefits and the limitations of the national accounting process. With that, we finish unit 5. Okay, right. That's that. And let me just quickly remind you that starting from this month, most probably mid of February, I'm starting the combined classes. Okay, combined classes on Thursday mornings via Zoom. On the website, Mind-Hub website, we are going on with the work, preparing the combined classroom and the payment product and all that. There will be a certain fee that you guys will have to pay, obviously, because it's a 4-5-hour class done every week. Separate materials, everything is provided. But normally what I do is, because it's a combined class and you guys have theory revision fees, everything, we normally charge approximately about half of what we charge for the theory revision classes. Okay, so once that is done and ready, right, we will let you know. Revision classes are there tomorrow. I don't know why we are not doing classes today also physically, right? But because the institute was strongly believing that you guys will not show up because the other 2 subjects are not there. Tomorrow, I can't afford not to have a revision class also, because you guys are 2023 advanced levels. Tomorrow, the only class that I have is your class, right? Yes, Mevan, tomorrow is a POYA day. In the past, on POYA days, we have done classes. And Putta, when you go to the exam this year, I don't think they will discount for all of these things. No? So especially when you guys are in your exam year, Putta, missing a class shouldn't be an easy option. Okay? Again, tomorrow also, maybe some of your other parallel subject teachers are not doing their class, but I'm sorry, I need to do the class because I am doing the exam this year and I need to work much as I can and prepare for that exam. Okay? The teachers have different attitudes about the job they do and the responsibility they take. This is my approach and this is the responsibility I take. So tomorrow I am planning to do the class. Institute is open. Sigma also can't have a double standard. When they want to, they are okay with POA day or whatever they say, okay, no problem, please do the class. And all of a sudden they can't say on POA days, no classes. So those kinds of on and off things we can't do. Okay. And if you have any of your friends who are doing bioscience, maths, and the other streams, just talk to them and see, Buddha, if they're having classes tomorrow, if they're having regular classes, if they're having classes, some of them might have classes. Right. So we'll do that. So that's that. Up to you, right? To look at it. So that's that. Yeah, with that, I think, I don't think I'm surprised that it is still supporting, right? Maybe because it's a new UPS. Normally what they say is about 10 minutes at best. Okay, after that, the router will go off. Anyway, so yeah, with that, I'm going to stop because I don't think I can start expenditure approach and do anything meaningful because it will be another 1 hour's time when the power comes back, right? Yeah. So are we okay? So, and thank you for asking that question, Mevan. I also didn't remember that. Tomorrow we are having the revision class. Okay. I was talking about the combined classes. I hope you guys were concentrating. Once the virtual classroom is ready and once the payment product and everything is there, we will let you know. And definitely by mid of this month, we are starting combined classes Thursday mornings. It's done virtually. And the dates, the times, everything is decided. Those things are not going to change. And the units are 7.4 to unit 12 will be covered by other combined class theory revision. Both areas would be done. Okay, right. There's something that I'm proposing as a paper class. I will talk about it during your respective revision classes mainly. Okay, right. So I'll see some of you guys who are coming for my revision classes tomorrow at 10:30, 10:45. That is the time we try to start the class. So we'll say 10:30. I'll see you guys then. Okay. With that, Putta, I will conclude the session. Okay.